and this is where it gets really interesting. Hi and welcome to Floss and Talk. I'm Kerstin Flo, and here on my channel I talk about, all the things I'm talking about here on my channel. Someone said to me yesterday, aren't you tired of saying the same thing in every intro? And yes, I am. Anyways, first of all, thanks for all the amazing feedback you guys gave me about my new studio. I've changed things a little bit since yesterday. I'm a little further away, and then I added Oscar in the corner. He's laying there being really happy to be in this air-conditioned room because it's so hot in Spain right now. I'm still working on something to put on that wall, so stay tuned for more upgrades from my studio. Anyways, there's so much stuff going on. Yesterday, there were so many filings, so many letters to the judge. This judge must be so annoyed at this point from both parties sending motions back and forth. Anyway, something interesting came up, and that was, first of all, Blake Lively's deposition has a date, June 23rd, which I think is also the deadline for Justin Baldoni's amended complaint against Blake Lively. Remember, his case for defamation was dismissed, but he was able to amend a few of the points in the lawsuit. So maybe it's not all lost. We'll see on the 23rd what he comes up with of new evidence. And of course, we are super excited to see Blake Lively's deposition, although we're not going to see it. But I'm sure maybe some of it will leak and we will get a little bit of a peek inside of what's been going on in that conversation. So yesterday there was this document, I think it was 78 pages, that was sent from Brian Friedman's team. And there's a lot of talk about these text messages between Blake Lively and Taylor Swift. Blake Lively is still refusing to show them to Brian Friedman and Justin Baldoni's team. And her main reason is that she thinks that he's already seen them. And she says that they're not necessary for this case. Well, she's kind of contradicting herself there because, as you know, she has said the entire time that Taylor Swift, her BFF, her dragon, was with her throughout this whole process of making It Ends With Us. So Brian Friedman's big argument for seeing those text messages is that he thinks that in those messages, there are communications where the two of them are talking about what's going on the set of It Ends With Us. So that's why he's saying this information is very necessary. Billboard picked this up, actually, and did a story about it. And it says here that Taylor Swift's text could reveal whether Blake Lively suffered actual distress. Although she has dropped the big claims about emotional distress is still a part of the other claims, if that makes any sense. So it's important for Justin Baldoni's team to prove that she actually hasn't experienced any emotional distress. And they think that the evidence for that lays in these text messages and communications between Taylor and Blake. They have already told Blake's team that they haven't seen any of the texts, they haven't seen any of the communications. Taylor Swift's team has also told Blake Lively's team that they haven't showed any of this evidence. But still, Blake Lively is terrified to show this. And to me, that says that she knows there's something in there that they can use. And that's why she's refusing to show it to them. I'm just really hoping that this just for once could give Baldoni's team the benefit of the doubt here and agree that these text messages are actually really important. And as I said before, you speak to your close friends about things that worries you. And as Blake Lively said the whole time, Taylor Swift was there with her. She's her best friend. She talks to her about everything. So of course, there must be some communication about this. Baldoni's team is also accusing Blake Lively's team of dragging this whole process out to make it more and more expensive and just basically dragging it out and abusing the court system. As I said yesterday, Blake Lively I think she's filing like 2 or 3 letters to the judge every day because she refused to show any evidence. It is so crazy to me that she filed a lawsuit accusing someone of all these things, and then she refused to show the evidence that it actually happened. Anyways, a part of this letter that was sent to the judge yesterday was a list of all the communication that the Baldoni and Wayfarer team wants from Blake Lively. And this is where it gets really interesting. On this list, obviously, they have all communications with Taylor Swift, but there are other people on this list that I also found extremely interesting. Bradley Cooper. They want all communication Blake Lively had with Bradley Cooper. They also want all communication that Blake Lively's team had with TMZ reporters, a couple of different TMZ reporters. So now we might find out who planted that story that I spoke about yesterday, that one story about Baldoni saying that he kissed her for too long and then he was fat shaming her. Also, they are dragging Isabel Ferrer. They want all communications with her about the marketing of the movie. Every communication Blake Lively had with Isabel Ferrer and Brendan Sklenar and Liz Plank. Remember the podcaster who dropped Justin Baldoni like 2 hours after that article came out in the New York Times? They want all communication with her. They also want all communication with Sean Levy, who did Deadpool versus Wolverine with Ryan Reynolds. And they want all communications with Jenny Slate and also a reporter from the Daily Mail. I think it's about 133 points here of people and different companies that they want all communications with. They even said here that they started asking for evidence from Blake Lively for especially SH and the smear campaign, the retaliation campaign. They asked her for evidence from that already in February. And to this date, they have seen zero evidence. Blake Lively hasn't showed them anything. She has showed them some other communications. Apparently, she's been giving them some stuff, but nothing that they could use. And she hasn't been able to prove yet that there has been a smear campaign or if there has been, or if there was any SH on that set. Okay, and there's one more person on this list where I found very amusing and very satisfying to see that's on this list. Her name is Dr. Leslie Dobson. I spoke about her before on my channel. She calls herself a forensic psychologist, but I find it so hard to believe that she actually is one because I've never seen anyone so openly spreading misinformation and conspiracy theories on the internet. She posted a video on Instagram a few months ago about how when I did that interview with Blake Lively, that I walked up to Blake Lively before they interviewed and started rubbing her stomach. She said that that was information that she knew of what had happened in that interview, you know, the viral interview I did with Blake Lively. So she just made up this story and people started believing in it and they asked me about it. Then here comes the interesting part. So a few months ago, I don't know if you guys remember, but there were 3 letters that started circulating that someone claimed was HR reports about SH from Justin Baldoni to 3 other crew members or actors or someone on the set of It Ends With Us. They were never verified. The media didn't pick them up, and there was something really fishy about those 3 HR complaints, and they turned out to be fake. There were some stuff on them that people started reacting to, like, why are the dates on these HR complaints taken out? And the thing is, this happened just before Blake Lively's team already had said that they had a smoking gun coming out soon. And then in her amended complaint, she said that 2 other actresses had also experienced toxic environment or something inappropriate with Baldoni on the set, but they wanted to be anonymous. So everyone was like, okay, this is related to that. And we're supposed to believe that these fake HR complaints actually came from the real people. Turns out that these complaints came from Dr. Leslie Dobson, because I was just watching my friend Daily Dose of Donna. She also has a YouTube channel. She's lovely. You should go and check her out. She just said yesterday that Dr. Leslie Dobson sent those fake HR complaints to her, telling her they came directly from Sony. So who knows if she made them up, if someone tricked her? I don't know. I don't think so. I think that Dr. Leslie Dobson is super, super shady. And now Justin Baldoni's team is asking for all communication with Dr. Leslie Dobson. And I'm wondering if she actually did work with Blake Lively's team. When you look at her Instagram, just scroll through some of the stuff that she said. She said, amongst other things, that Justin Baldoni had been accused of SA several times during college days. And she's saying that, oh, it wasn't just SA on the set of It Ends With Us, it was SA. Yeah, she made up all these stories that are just like outrageous. And now I'm so happy to see that Brian Friedman is asking for all communications with her. I can't wait to see if this woman has gotten paid from someone to sit and spread conspiracy theories and misinformation on Instagram and on TikTok. I think she's big on TikTok too. If she actually has been paid by someone, oh my God, that would just make my day. I think it's really worrisome that she has a lot of followers on social media and people actually believe what comes out of her mouth. Anyways, there is some good news for Jed Wallace now. Remember the guy that they hired to help them with this crisis management? He is said to, make problems go away. And he was really upset that he got dragged into the lawsuit. But now, because Blake Lively dropped her 2 claims of intentional infliction of emotional distress and negligent infliction of emotional distress, he is now off the hook because of those claims being dropped, because those were things that she accused him of. So that's great news for Jed Wallace. I think he's still suing her, though, in Texas court, which is interesting. Let's see what happens there. And here's another interesting story today that I saw in People magazine. What I found mostly interesting about this is the way that People magazine angled this article. Okay, so this is a story about one of the jury members at the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial, and he's now written a book. And he's talking about what happened in that room when everyone was trying to figure out who was the bad guy and who was the good guy. And it seemed like everyone was kind of agreeing all the time who was the bad guy here. Anyway, so People magazine made the headline, Johnny Depp trial juror speaks out, women on jury were tougher on Amber Heard than men. There were 2 women and 5 men on that jury. Maybe they could have been harder on her, but maybe I think women knows women best, and they see when a woman is lying. Women can be very manipulative, but I think women see through manipulations from other women easier probably than men do. And Amber Heard is a pretty woman, and it's probably easier for her to seduce and manipulate a man to believing her than it is to manipulate a woman to believing in her. So I'm sure if I was on that jury, I would definitely see through her lies instantly. But anyways, he's saying that everyone agreed that Amber Heard was lying. There were so many holes in her story, so many inconsistencies, he's saying here. And he's saying it was hard for us to believe any of it. We didn't believe a lot of what she was saying. They're all actors. They can put on a different face if you pay them enough, he added. And that's another thing that's going to work against Blake Lively in court. Like what he's saying right here, people know that Blake Lively is an actress, and that is going to make it even harder for her to get people to believe her, because they can say she's an actress, she can act, she can pretend, she's lying for a living, because that's what you do as an actor. You're lying, you're pretending to be someone else. This jury member, who's called Nguyen, also says that, for me, I enjoyed Johnny Depp's testimony. He said he was pretty entertaining, going back and forth with Heard's lawyers. We were sitting there for 8 hours a day, and having him on the stand was a breath of fresh air. I do agree with him. I loved seeing Johnny Depp on that stand. He had such a sense of humor about things. And also I really felt sympathy for him, as I said before. So he's also saying here that not every case of abuse is from a man, and that's something that he learned from this case. He says, I agree, in a lot of cases in the past, it probably was the man who was the abuser. But you can't just jump to that conclusion. For someone like Johnny Depp, he can weather the storm. He's got money, fame, connections. But an ordinary guy like me could lose his job and livelihood. There's just no way of coming back from that before people start to put a scarlet letter on you. You have to let them have their day in court, or at least allow them to defend themselves without any prejudged ideas. Then they're publishing the statement that Amber Heard came with when she lost the case, where she said, "I'm heartbroken that the mountain of evidence still was not enough to stand up to the disproportionate power, influence, and sway of my ex-husband." Then Johnny Depp had a statement where he said, "The jury gave me my life back." He added, "I hope that my quest to have the truth be told will have helped others, men or women, who have found themselves in my situations, and that those supporting them never give up. I also hope that the position will now return to innocent until proven guilty, both within the courts and in the media." Well said, Johnny Depp. And as this jury member is pointing out here, women can be liars too. Women can be abusers too. And I think that's exactly what we've been seeing with Blake Lively. And yeah, I'm so curious to see how much they're going to fight back on all this evidence that Baldoni's team is asking for. I really hope the judge is going to be a little stricter from now on and stop being so pro Blake Lively. But anyways, that's it for me today, you guys. Thanks again for being so supportive and for sending me so many tips. I love it. You guys are the best. I hope you're enjoying summer. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. It really helps my channel. And of course, hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Flawsome Talk. And Oscar is sending kisses. He's bored. He's sleeping. Anyways, take care, everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye.